thanks everybody for jumping on kind of early and getting it done. Usually we give 3 to 5 minutes for folks to jump in. Some people have trouble getting their Zoom going, or they can't find the link, or whatever the case is. We get messages all the time. Where's the link? Where's the link? Right. So if you're registered for this, you'll get that link by text and by email right before we go live. By the way, it's always the same link. So if you just want to save it in your calendar every 2 weeks on Thursday, it's the same link every single time. It's zoomwithfreedom.com. Super easy to get to. And so we're going to jump in today, and we're just going to talk about some things that I've been highly hyper focused on. And you're going to realize why these things are really hyper focused for me. And I'm going to pass that on to you because I believe that it needs to be hyper focused for all of us. You know, there's a big thing in building a brand, right? And for those of you that understand brand, you understand that it means what you are. You're representing what you are with your brand and making it recognizable to everybody else, right? So we know the Nike swoosh. That's Nike. You see that swoosh anywhere, you know it's Nike. Never changes. That's who they are. There's an Apple. We know that's Apple, right? Like, Google has changed brand a couple times, but we still know who they are, right? No matter how many times they do it, they do a really great job of keeping their brand in front of our faces. We, as real estate professionals, have this great opportunity in a world that we've never lived in before. Some of you don't know another world. Some of you are rocking the gray like me, so you know another world, right? And so there was a world where, brand was for the elite, right? Brand was for TV, it was for radio, and it couldn't really be touched by anybody else. And if you grew up in the city like I did, it was on, bus stops and benches and things of that nature, billboards. Like, we couldn't touch that stuff in the past, right? It was so expensive. It was for the elite companies, it was for the big companies, it was for those people. Now, not the same situation. Now we can build a brand on social media without ever touching any of that stuff. We don't have to be on TV. I was listening to Ryan Serhant the other day, and he said that if an agent came up to him today and asked him, should I be on a TV show, he would tell them no. And I found that really interesting because if you know Ryan Serhant, he became very popular through Million Dollar Listing New York, right? And he said 15 years ago, when he got on Million Dollar Listing New York, there were very few ways to get very popular quick, to build a brand the way that we have it today through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, right? And so he said that was what he needed at that time. And it gave him a leg up. It made him one of the elites, or part of the elite group, right? And so he was on TV every week for people to absorb, and that helped him grow his business. But he said, but what people don't see in the background is that it took 2/3 of his day every single day to do that show for the long run of 15 years, right? And he said, for someone else, why would you put yourself through that torture when you could build your own brand? And if you wanted to, if you really wanted to, you could create your own TV show, put it on YouTube, put some dollars behind it, and get just as popular, right? And so, imagine the idea of being able to build a brand and taking it to the next level. And it really comes with the consistency of building a brand. If you guys follow me on Instagram, my wife and I were actually talking about it last night. And so Instagram and YouTube are my biggest places, right? Facebook comes in a real solid, close third place, right? And so my Instagram, I've got like, I don't know, 22,000, 23,000 followers, something like that. But I also have 5,100 and something posts, right? Like, we're massive on that. We put a lot of attention on it. YouTube's the same way. We're building up our subscribership on YouTube. We've got over 1,000 videos on YouTube, right? We take it to Facebook. I can't even tell you how many posts we have on Facebook because it's just been 10 years of Facebook posts, right? Like, I'm one of the first people to sign up to Facebook, right? And so, being able to stay massively consistent with it is a real key factor. So just with that premise in mind and understanding building a brand and really taking it to the next level, I'm going to go through some points that I wrote down for today, and we're just going to jive on them one by one. By the way, this can be interactive. So if you have a question or something, use the raise your hand feature here in Zoom. or type your question. If you don't feel like talking, type your question into the chat box. I'm paying attention. I can see the chat box. I can see you guys here, so we can pay attention. So first thing I wrote down is markets don't dictate your outcome. It dictates your strategy. This is something that I read in a book, and I loved this quote because oftentimes you will find, and by the way, I've been coaching real estate professionals for 10 years, right? And I hear it all the time. It's everyone else's fault, right? It's, my mom doesn't get out of my way, or, the market shifted, or there was a hurricane, or there was a tornado, or there, and obviously there are some things that we can't control, right? For instance, hurricane hits the edge of Florida on the West Coast this year. It really stopped real estate sales, right? It stopped it. Like, what are you going to do, right? But you know what happens after that? A lot of people start selling their properties because they want to get the hell up out of Dodge, right? Either A, they can't fix the property, they can't afford the whatever it is, the deductible with the insurance company or whatever the case is, and now they're selling it as is. It's a short sale, whatever the case is, they got to deal with it. Maybe it's not a short sale, maybe they paid it off, and now they're just trying to get what they can in Dodge, right? Maybe this is the third time they've gone through this, and they're like, dude, let's fix up the house. Let's put this bitch on the market. I'm out of here, right? Like there's a lot of thought process that goes behind it. So it's not the actual market, it's your strategy that needs to shift, right? So if you've always been the single family person that sells normal single family houses, well, maybe now you're shifting to more of a short sale market and a distressed market. You have to change your strategy. You have to change how it is. When I was in the Marine Corps, the Marine Corps motto is Semper Fidelis, right? Always faithful. Well, all the time we used to joke in within the ranks. We used to say it's Semper Gumby, right? If you guys know what Gumby is, it was a toy back in the day that you could stretch and it was super flexible, right? And so we would say Semper Gumby, always flexible, right? Because the mission sometimes required you to adjust and change the directive that you started with, right? And by the way, I'm not just talking about crazy missions. It could just be a simple task to do in the armory or on base or whatever the case is, and it just changes because the directive changes, and you have to be flexible and be able to move to the left and right and get shit done, right? So ideally, what I'm telling you is don't allow the market to dictate your business. It should only dictate your strategy, right? And it can't dictate your outcome. You can't say, I'm broke because the market sucks. You have to say, I'm going to make money a different way because the market shifted. It changed. Something happened, right? That was completely out of my control. Now, by the way, the longer you stay in any business, bicycles, lollipops, or real estate, right? The longer you stay in any business that requires you to sell something, something is always going to try to get in your way. Life happens, man. By the way, when we were talking a moment ago about hurricanes, we're talking about natural disaster, guys. Like we can't control that. The only thing that we can control is the forward moving strategy that happens next, right? Okay. Next thing I put down is we need to start reviewing what the market was like pre-COVID back to 2016. What was the strategy that real estate agents used then to create business? Because we're back there. A saying that you will often hear, right? Uh, um, uh, always is you will hear the real estate market is cyclical, right? Everything that happens now will happen again, right? It's just a big circle, right? So, right, we've recently dealt with super low interest rates, and then the interest rates went up, and then they began to normalize. And then over time, depending on how long it takes or what happens in the industries and the markets and the stocks and the bonds and everything else that happens around the world with money, they're going to go down again. So everybody's like, oh, we're never going to see the 2.35 again or the 2.5 interest rate again. If you stay in the industry for the next 20 years, it is more than likely you're going to see it again. Why? Because the real estate industry is cyclical. Now, if you're a consumer and you're going to wait 15 years for that to happen before you buy your home, yeah, you messed up because 15 years from now, that house is going to be worth way more. It is the natural progression of growth in pricing. Even with dips, we still find our way back up, right? And so we need to start reviewing what was happening and how are real estate agents attracting business, okay? Attracting business prior to COVID all the way back to 2016, because that's where we are today. Inventory's a little low. Interest rates are kind of whatever you want to call them. Some people call them high, some people call them average, right? It is a healthy interest rate, 6%, 6.5% is a healthy interest rate, right? 8%, yeah, it's a little high. Is it undoable? Is it like unattainable? No, it's not attainable, right? In some places, may the price be too high for some consumers? Yes, they might have to go somewhere else to buy, right? It just is what it is. Things are going to have to move around, okay? And so, what were agents doing back then? Well, there was a lot more face-to-face activity. There was a lot more. See, we've gone too dependent on this thing right here, the cell phone, right? And we've got too dependent on texting. We've got too dependent on making calls. And some of y'all can't even pick up the phone and make a call. Okay. So we've got too dependent on social media. We've got too dependent on doing TikTok dances. We've got too dependent on, doing Instagram reels. And you listen, all of that stuff, it works, but it is the cherry on top. And we have to remember that it's a supplemental way of exposing yourself and developing brand. I'm not saying that you cannot get business from your Instagram reels. What I am saying is if you do, it should be the bonus. You should be getting business by picking up the phone, making calls to set meetings. Those meetings should lead into business. That business should convert into a client. That client should convert into a closing. That closing should convert into at least 3 referrals. That's the thought process. That is the cyclical process. And you can't do that if you're not getting in front of people. And now more than ever, you need to get in front of more people than ever before. Is there low inventory in most markets? Absolutely. Does that mean that it is harder to get a listing? Absolutely not. I believe it's actually easier to get listings today because less people are willing to go face to face. Hear that out. Less people are willing to go face to face. More people are dependent on how they expose themselves on social media than actually knocking on a door and asking people questions and getting to know the neighbors and getting to know the neighborhood. It's a game changer, guys, right? And so I say that, by the way, carefully, right? Game changer? Is it really? Because it's happened before. We're just repeating what has worked in the past. And I truly believe that now more than ever, I put a post up yesterday that said, now more than ever, grassroots is what's required in your business, right? You got to get boots to the ground. You have to get back to the basics. The basics is going to save your business. The basics is going to take you to the next level. Listen, I see ads all the time. No more door knocking. Buy my system and you'll be the best there ever is. And in my head, I'm like, swipe, got to get rid of that guy, right? And by the way, some people fall into that trap. Why do they fall into that trap? Because door knocking is painful, guys. It sucks. All right. I don't know where everyone lives in here. I live in Miami. Door knocking at any time, except for this week, maybe, where it's like 65 degrees outside right now, sucks in Miami, Florida. Okay. Absolutely sucks. Right. So, that being said, right, it's a painful thing, which is why they created an ad that said, no more door knocking. What are you doing? I've got a system that'll get you more listings than ever before, right? And their system probably works. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But what I can tell you is that nothing in the world works better than shaking somebody's hand and developing a relationship with them, right? So we get into automation. And so I wrote down automation only works to a point, right? In today's day and age, it's not like the past where you can have 50 people and you could develop a strong business with that. In today's day and age, we need to have a few thousand, right? If you ask some of the experts that are selling 100, 150 homes a year, you have to have 100,000 contacts in a CRM that are consistently being automated with emails and text messages and market campaigns and everything you could ever imagine, right? And that consistency is what's going to be the key to staying in front of people so that they can come to you versus you chasing them. However, okay, that automation only works to a certain point. There has to be a point where you pick up the phone and make a real phone call to somebody. There has to be a point where you sit at a coffee shop and actually have a real conversation with somebody. That point is so critical, and that is what the majority of real estate agents today are afraid to do. They're afraid to pick up the phone and call somebody and ask them for business. They're afraid to pick up the phone and ask somebody out for a cup of coffee with the intention of asking them for business. We have a rule on my team. And if you join the Kurz team down in Miami, right? We have a rule. You have to close 2 deals on my team before you can get any leads from us. Not prior to joining the team. I need to observe how you close 2 deals. Why? Because if you are afraid to call your family and friends and your sphere of influence and ask them for business, what makes me believe that you're going to call my stranger that I just spent whatever money on to get? How do I know you can convert? If you can't convert people who love and trust you, how are you going to convert somebody that doesn't even care about you? They don't know you to care about you. And so a big piece of that is observing the ability to do that, right? And so that automation is going to work to a certain point, but you need to get in front of people. All right, moving on to the next thing. Follow-up is critical, but know your market. Some markets require a slower follow-up. Some markets require a stronger, more aggressive follow-up. If you're the Grant Cardones of this world, right? Grant Cardone's team is the aggressive follow-up. They are the epitome of email, text you, call you, email, text you, call you every single day. They will FaceTime you and try to get you on the phone so that you can have a face-to-face with them, because they understand the psychology of getting in front of you. They also understand the psychology of developing a relationship. They understand that it's 33% sight, 33% sound, 33% touch. The last percentage is the close. It's that relationship, it's that feel, right? Do I feel good about this person? Okay. And so when they FaceTime you, when those guys FaceTime you, what they're trying to do is knock out 66%. They want you to see them and hear them, because the final stage would be you standing in front of them and shaking their hands. But most of those guys are trying to sell you something virtually. They don't want to be in front of you because they want to sell 10 times today, right? And so what are they doing? They're trying to bank on the fact that if they can get you to see them and see their operation and hear them and see the sincerity in their voices and see the sincerity in their faces, that you will buy without the necessity of shaking their hand, because they got you 66% in. So my tip to you guys, your follow-up needs to be strong and it needs to be effective, but it doesn't need to be the same for every single person. Hear me out. If you've got a buyer that's trying to buy a $250,000 house and they're not ready right now, you go aggressive follow-up. They're not ready right now. I'll be ready in 6 months. Great. I'm going to check in with you on a weekly basis. That check-in should look like this. It should be and I haven't been writing on the board because I just want to go with you guys if this is a flow. By the way, we're recording this and we'll send this out to everybody. Okay. Um, the follow-up game should be like this. It should be phone call, voicemail or conversation, text message, followed by a video text, followed by an email. It's a 5-step process. Okay. It's phone call, voicemail or conversation, written text, followed by a video text, followed by an email every single time. Every single time. Now, I know most of you have a CRM, and if you don't, please spend the money on a very simple CRM. If you don't have any money at all, use an Excel spreadsheet. If you don't have money to buy Microsoft, use a Google worksheet. Okay. Like, just track it. If you don't have money for a computer, use paper and pen. Like, there are ways to track this. Chalk on your wall in your bedroom. I don't care how you figure it out, but track every single person that you're talking to and put a tick mark on every week that you reach out to them. And you're going to call them and you're going to either have a conversation or leave a voicemail. You're going to follow up with a written message and a video message, and you're going to send them an email. This is a 5-point system that allows you to hit multiple factors. You're hitting them in every area with the similar or same message. but you're also doing that 66%, right? You're doing that video message. So if I'm trying to follow up with Kurt and Kurt says, hey, I'm interested in buying a house, and I go, great. And he goes, but I'm not ready right now. I think I'll be ready in March after I file my taxes. I'm going to go, cool. I'm going to check in with you every once in a while, see how things are going. Why? Because Kurt in January, on the 2nd of January, he might walk into a tax office that looks at him and goes, hey, we could front you your tax money right now for a certain percentage, right? And Kurt goes, hell yeah, give me my money right now. I don't want to wait 6 weeks for my money, right? And he might get that money the first week of January. And if I don't follow up with Kurt until March, he already bought a house. Because you guys got to remember one thing, it is not Kurt's job to remember who I am. It's my job to remind Kurt to reach out to me. And so when I reach out to Kurt, it's going to be like this, especially during this season, guys. Hey, man, just want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I hope everything's great, you and your family. I look forward to checking in with you next week. Hey, let me know if anything changes, if you want to move a little quicker and checking out some homes. Send it out. Now, I might look up Kurt in social media, and I might find out, Kurt, what's one of your hobbies that you might post on social media? I don't know if you can hear me. Kurt, what's one of your hobbies that you might post on social media?
Riding my motorcycle. How about it?
Cool. All right, Harley,
Yes.
what kind?
79 shovel head, super glide.
Dude, love it. All right. So my video is going to be like this to Kurt. Number one, I already have a connection with Kurt. He just doesn't know it yet, but I need to let him know, right? So I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to go, hey, Kurt, man, I saw your social media. You're out on the bike, dude. That is a beautiful Harley, dude. I have a road glide. My wife actually rides too. And you should see our bikes. We did a 7,000-mile ride around the country back in 2020. I'll send you some pictures so you can check it out. But anyway, I just want to reach out to you, check in with you. And by the way, if you want to speed up that home search, you just let me know. We'll hit the road as quickly as you want. We can take the bikes, right? That's going to be my message to Kurt. Could you imagine me and Kurt? He's going to be on his Harley. I'm going to be on my Harley. We're going to be bouncing house to house, checking out houses. People will come outside just to see who we are because we're coming in loud, ladies and gentlemen, right? And so it's going to be a fun ride, first of all, right? It's going to be a fun ride. My pipes are done. His pipes are done. We're ready to go. We're coming in happy, right? Kurt, I don't know where you live. I'm in Florida, no helmet law. We're sunglasses, chilling. We're riding out, you know? So it's just the connection that I could build by studying who Kurt is. Think about this. Let's say Kurt was looking for a $22 million house, right? Because, ladies and gentlemen, this can happen to you. It could take you 5 years of trying to touch base with Kurt before Kurt says, hey, I'm gonna pull the trigger on a big old house, 18 million, 20 million, whatever it is. It could take you 5 years to accomplish that, okay? But it is gonna be the consistency of you every 2 to 3 weeks. Now, this is not the aggressive because the luxury buyer at that level does not want you bothering them on a weekly basis. They know who you are. And but not so much so that you're not going to check in with them. So 2 to 3 weeks, I would check in with Kurt. Hey, Kurt, how you doing, man? Just checking in with you. I saw you bought another bike. Looks beautiful. You know, let me know if there's anything I do for you. By the way, a new house came up in the neighborhood that I think you would absolutely love. Let me know if you want to check it out. And you hang up, right? Kurt owns a business. I might do a Google keyword reminder. You go to Google keywords and you put in a keyword, and I can type in Kurt Bonds, I don't know, Bonds, insurance adjusters, whatever. And I could put those in as keywords, and I would get Google News articles every time Kurt ends up in the news, right? So if Kurt's company buys another insurance company, okay, and
No,
I
no, no,
and I
no, 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 no. If you're gonna role play, make it realistic. I don't do insurance, man. That's funny. Thanks for using me, though, man. I don't mind at all, but I get your concept, and I totally
yeah,
agree. Anything you can find to compliment someone or to have them relate to you, and you can always find something if that's your
right.
goal, if you're seeking it.
Yeah, so the thought process here is like, I know you do real estate, Kurt. I'm just using it as like a crazy example, but like, let's say you own the $20 billion company, right? Like, I could pay attention to that news, and then I could say, hey, Kurt, by the way, congratulations on the purchase of that new company you just picked up and absorbed, blah, blah. Hey, by the way, a new house just showed up in the neighborhood. It's a nice 7-bedroom home, sitting on the water, space for the yacht, garage for the Harleys. Let me know if you want to go see it, right? And so the concept is, how can we create effective follow-up and not just follow-up, right? Not just automation, 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 automation. This is what's happening in your neighborhood, right? Like, make it real. And we're going to talk about a few things that need to be real, right? But make it real follow-up, make it consistent, make it strong. There's nothing wrong with the automation. All I'm saying is there has to come a point in time where you go and you say, it is time for me to make a phone call. It is time for me to follow that up with a text message. It is time for me to send them a video. It's time for me to connect with this consumer, with this potential client. Because, by the way, they're not a client until they actually agree to work with you. Up until that point, they're just a potential consumer aid that's in your system. Okay. All right. So moving on to the next thing, right? And then have a system in place, but be genuine. So track. We talked about tracking people on social media and the news, right? You need to follow up until they either buy or die, right? That's a big thing for me. Okay. Like, follow-up game has to be so critically strong that if you don't do it, you're screwed. You're screwed, man. This is how you build a business where people come to you and don't and you don't have to chase all the time. This is how you build that. Okay. So let's talk this. Follow up until they buy or die. And then the joke is, when they die, you check in with their family because there could be a probate case and you can still get the listing, right? But as funny as that sounds, that's real. There are real estate agents out there that 100% focus on probate, and they've got systems in place that alert them when somebody files a death certificate. Hello.
David,
And they got no problem with the phone and calling those folks or knocking on their door and saying, hey, I'm sorry for your loss, man, but what are you guys going to do with this house?
David, real, real, real
Talk to
talk.
me.
Good friend of mine, just passed away at the age of 69. Guy I rode with regularly. He's awesome dude. But I had 2 weeks before his passing been in his house, pulling comps and giving him information on listing his property because they were looking to move to be closer to the grandbabies. And he unexpectedly
Yeah.
passed. And I keep in touch with his family because he's one of my boys. But it does go right down the alley with what you're saying. That listing that was talked about prior to his death, now after the death certificate, staying in touch, they want me to be the one to list it, obviously. But I didn't know most of his family. He was one of those guys that would be around the fellas, but you didn't meet a lot of his family unless you've been to his house.
Right. Right.
So
Right. Thank you for that, Kurt. I appreciate that. And that's
yeah,
just a testimonial right there, folks. Like, it happens all the time. By the way, people die every day. They also have babies every day. They also get married every day. They also get divorced every day. Like, some life event is happening every single day. You get to focus on what you want, right? Okay, so let's talk about your brand. You are real estate and what? And so we'll keep using Kurt because he has the Harleys, right? Like, Kurt is real estate and loves driving his Harleys, right? And the reason I say that is because you have to build a brand not only on what you do, but also who you are. Okay. And when we build a brand on who we are, people begin to know us. If they get to know us, they know, like, and trust us before they even meet us. And you know that for a fact. There are people that you follow on social media today that you know, like, and trust. You believe that you know them already based on the content that they've given you, based on the information that they provide you, based on the way that they have benefited your life. Like, there are people that I follow that I've never met before in my life, but the things that they have said on their systems, they're like YouTube or whatever, make me believe that they are the type of person I would want to do business with or have a beer with. See where I'm going with this, right? So if you become the person that people feel like they could sit down and have a beer with and potentially do business with, people know, like, and trust you before you even get in front of them. So please don't have the social media that says, look at me, I'm cool, look at me, I'm cool. What does that look like? Just listed, just sold, just listed, just sold, just listed, just sold, just rented, just sold, just listed, just sold. Everything is that. Forget about it. Nobody wants to talk to you, right? Yes, you look successful. I get that. You look successful. But ladies and gentlemen, They know nothing about you. They don't know if they're going to connect with you. They don't know if they're going to jive with you. Yes, you might be able to do a good job for them, but are they going to even enjoy the journey? People want to enjoy the journey, especially in the sale of something and something expensive, from cars to houses. Houses happen to be usually the most expensive thing people will buy or sell, right? And so you get this opportunity to be the person that helps them enjoy the journey. By the way, a lot of folks are afraid to be themselves on social media. Why are they afraid to be themselves on social media? It's the number one answer I get. People may not like me for who I am, and I want to work with everybody. Okay, well, here's the answer to that. For every one person that doesn't like you, you're going to pick up 2 to 3 people that connect with you. Okay. And so I learned this from a mentor of mine. I said to him, dude, I'm not going to talk about politics on my podcast. And he said, why not? Everybody's talking about politics everywhere all the time, from the supermarket to the dinner table to the news to everywhere. So why wouldn't you talk about politics? And I said, well, because my views are my views, and I might rub some people the wrong way. And he goes, yeah, but for every one person you rub the wrong way, there are 3 people who didn't know you felt that way and love you for it. And that just turned the light bulb on, right? It made so much sense to me, you know? And so he says this taboo thing of politics and religion, everybody says don't talk about it, but when it's brought up, it brings up the biggest debates in the world, right? And he said, so why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you put together something where you talk about your beliefs? Guess what? The whole world doesn't have to follow you. But the people that do, they will want to do business with you. And I found that so interesting and profound. And we tested it. And by the way, guess what? It worked. And we tested it slightly, not even that strong. And it worked, right? Okay. Next thing is shout out your successes in the long and short form, by the way. So a lot of you will close a deal, right? And there's short form. So this is short form. You close a deal, you post a picture up of the house or the family, and you write, just close this deal on this amazing family. Congratulations on your new home. That's your short form. Okay. The long form is designed for other places. Facebook gets long form. Blogs get long form. Email newsletters get long form. What does long form look like? I just want to congratulate the Johnson family for closing on this beautiful home in West Miami. And I got to tell you their story. You get permission from the family, obviously, to tell their story. But, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson moved to the state of Florida back in 1973 and have worked their butts off the entire time and never owned a home before until they met me. And they completely did not know the requirements of purchasing a home. They didn't know they could buy a home. They didn't know they had the credit score for it. They didn't know they had enough money for it. They didn't know that there were programs out there. And I took the opportunity to put them into a buyer assistance program because Mrs. Johnson's a nurse and we have a hometown hero program in the state of Florida. And I was able to get her 5,000. You see where I'm going with this, right? You're telling the story. People love stories, right? And so the long form is meant for those. By the way, does that make a great video? Absolutely. If I stood in front of my camera, by the way, you don't have to spend a ton of money. There are these mics right here. This is what I use. I'll show it to you guys. There's these little mics right here. If you open it up, there's 2 mics and a receiver in there. Connects right to my cell phone. I put my cell phone up on a stand. I connect it to, I plug the mic here. Perfect sound. The phone has 4K camera, guys. Perfect picture. I put up one light behind me, or I stand in a place where the light from the ceiling is going to get me properly. And I just go. And this is a whopping, I think it's like a couple $100 for the mics. This would be the most expensive thing. $16 for the stand for the phone. It even has a ring light on it. Okay. On Amazon. And you can create amazing video. Then you take this video and you put it on YouTube. And you create a playlist of your success stories. Shout your successes. You have to tell people you're doing great. So you take this video and you put it on YouTube, and now you've got the long form videos, right? But here's another one. I'll give you another one. Write this down. Opus Clip. Opus Clip. Okay. This is an AI Opus Clip. You're going to take this whole video and you're going to drop it right into Opus Clip. And Opus Clip is going to give you 3, 4, 5 reels, 60 seconds long, right from it. Okay. So guys, so you saw Riverside. So Riverside records well, but the quality is not great, right? And I've tried it with Riverside. I've tried it with the other one that we use. I forgot the name of it. StreamYard. Um, Actually, Zoom is the best, highest quality one if you want to record on your computer. Just go to Zoom and create a meeting for yourself and hit record. That's it. No guest in there, right? And then you just have that recorded to the cloud and you can download it yourself. Those are going to be the best quality ones, but directly to the phone and then direct upload into YouTube, you can't beat it, right? Or transfer from your phone to your computer and then work on it on your computer. But Opus Clip is going to spit out 3 or 4 reels for you. And if you did this with every closing, you would have consistent content that you could put out. And that reel, where should that reel go? Well, we know the long form posts are going on Facebook, they're going on Instagram, the short form's going on Instagram. You got TikTok, right? So TikTok gets the reels, Instagram gets reels. YouTube has YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts just announced that they're going to go from 60 minutes, or I'm sorry, 60 seconds to 3 minutes. So now you can have fun with those too. So if your video is short enough, you can record it like this for your YouTube short instead of like this for YouTube, right? And so there's different ways that you can go about this. The important thing is that you're putting out consistent content and you're shouting out your successes on a consistent basis. All right. Now I'm going to give you something crazy, and I know that this is going to sound bananas, but if you're buying leads, I would like to challenge you to take Q1 and just stop buying leads for a minute. And for some of you, you're going to go, what the F, right? And you go, dude, I need to buy leads because that's where I close my business. I would say for Q1, I would challenge you to stop spending money on leads and start spending time on the people that you already know and love. Whoever you have in your database includes every contact on your phone, along with whomever you have in your database and whomever you've closed. If you spent all of Q1 100% focused on them and spent 2 to 3 hours a day, massive lead generation all the time, you would create so much business that you would rethink buying leads ever again. My opinion, until you're making $250,000 a year and you have leverage to leverage off clients to, forget about buying leads. That's my opinion. Everyone here has the ability to do it, guys. Every one of you. You're just afraid to call your cousin and bother them about real estate. Your cousin, do they live in a house? Because if they do, they're a potential client. Period in the story. Done. I got a kid on my team that's 19 years old. He says, all my friends don't buy it. They're all 19. They all live with their parents. I go, well, help them change that. So he's got one kid that's like 19, 20 years old that he's helping him look for a duplex because he got qualified, but doesn't make enough money. So with the idea of buying a duplex means that if the other side is already rented, he can count that as income for his valuation, for his approval. So they're looking for the perfect duplex that has enough rental income coming in from the other side that he can live on one side, rent out the other side, let that guy pay the majority of his mortgage payment, maybe even all of it, by the way, right? And he's going to buy that FHA with 3.5% down. He's got the money saved. He's going to live in his own place. This is his first investment at 19. Who's teaching kids that right now? Kids in that house till 24, 25, 26 years old right now because they can't afford to move out. Again, we go back to the market. Market don't dictate your outcome, it dictates your strategy. Back then, maybe a 19-year-old could rent a nice place or buy a nice little home, starter home. Now, gotta look at a duplex, guy. It is what it is, right? All right, so building the brand, real estate, and what? We talked about that. Social media, we talked about that. If you're new to the industry, so some of you are going, okay, Dave, I don't have stories to tell because I don't have closings. Great. Document your journey. Please do not go into teacher mode, right? So many new agents are immediately going into teacher mode where they're trying to teach about interest rates and teach the buyer process and teach sellers how to do their process. And they're trying to teach, and what they're doing is they're learning and regurgitating, learning and regurgitating. You might think there's nothing wrong with that, except for the fact that everybody knows you're new to the game. And so, how do you know this information? Just document the journey. Have fun documenting the journey. If you're cold calling, document the journey. If you're going to knock on doors, document the journey. If you're working with a client, document that journey with the client while you're showing them homes, right? Because chances are they're going to be okay with it, because we live in a world where that's allowable. And so just ask them, hey man, is it okay if I record us like looking at houses and stuff like that? Sure. And if you're young, by the way, you know how to create these reels on Canva and all that other shit. You don't need advice there. You just record the journey. Hey, this is my client, John. John and I are looking at homes today. John's buying his first home, and we're helping him do it. And then you just show the journeys of walking into the houses and things like that. Document the journey. Document the journey until you get better. And then you can turn into teacher mode later. Okay. But document your journey, and people want to see that. They want to see, they want to go, yeah, he's new. But they want to know if you're working your butt off. And when you're documenting your journey, you're letting people know that you are. Okay. Email campaigns. Listen, most people will tell you that the sale is always done in the email, right? You can have a million conversations with somebody, but if you're in the follow-up game method, you have to make those calls and you have to have those meetings. Yes, those all exist, but it's the email that stays consistent in front of somebody that reminds them who you are. Whether they read it or not, they see your name. In order to delete that email without reading it, they have to read your name and the title to see if they're even interested. Your name becomes synonymous in their heads. Okay. And newsletters. Let's talk about newsletters real quick, because I'm sure you've heard a lot of people tell you to create newsletters. I agree. Create the newsletter, but make it real. Right? Make it real. Tell some stories about what you've been going through. Tell some stories about what you're reading right now. Tell some stories about things that just happened in the news that have nothing to do with real estate, but interest you and you thought it would interest them. Put a link to the article, right? Make it a real newsletter, not these wonky newsletters that are out there. Staging your home. Get the fuck out of here, man. I'm sorry I cursed on everybody, but that's me. All right. But like staging your home, who wants to read that newsletter? Who wants to read that? You don't want to read that. If you don't want to read it, why you expect other people to be excited to read it? Right? But if somebody sends you a newsletter and says, I don't know, John Smith, gets arrested, blah, blah, for housing fraud, right? And then you put your comments like, wow, it's real out there, rental fraud and things of that nature. You got to be careful. Check out this article that I saw on CNN.com, and you link the article, right? And then you talk about a few other things, maybe the top 5 things that are interesting to you. That could be your email. Hey, top 5 things that are interesting to me today, right? And then inside the email, you go, and maybe they're interesting to you. Check it out. Bop, 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 bop. And then you finish the email with the ask. Are you looking to buy or sell real estate? Check out my website here or call me directly at this phone number, right? Again, it doesn't all have to be real estate, just like your social media doesn't all have to be real estate, right? You want to do a staging thing? Dude, record it with a stager and have a lot of fun with that, right? But the 5 steps to staging your house, leave that to Inman Magazine, dude. Let them deal with that shit, okay? All right, wear your gear. Like you see, wear your gear. If you've got a name or a logo or something like that, right? You see Kurt's got his name behind him, Guy's got his name behind him, right? If you look around my office, like there is gear. Look, dude, that's the name of one of my books, right? That's my team logo. That's my team logo. Wear your gear, okay? Wear your gear. Let people know. I know a lady that is in the Miami Shores area, and she dominates the Miami Shores area. She's an older lady now. She's been in real estate for about 35 years or something like that. And she made a comment to me once. She goes, I do not buy groceries for the week. I buy groceries for the night. And I said, why do you do that? I don't understand. She goes, because I go to the same Publix grocery store every single time, okay? And I wear my jacket that has my team name on it, and I know everybody. If you do it every single day for this many years, you know every employee, you know every manager, you know every neighbor, you know everybody, okay? And she goes, so I'm the #1 real estate agent in my community. And that's how she did it. Swear, that's how she did it. I know another lady that walked her brand new baby, went walking in a community that she didn't even live in, guys. Average price point was 1.2 million in the community. She didn't even live in this community. She would just walk that community. And she did that for several months before she started door knocking. And when she began to door knock with her gear on, right, people started looking at her and going, hey, you're the lady that walks with the baby all the time. Yeah, that's me, right? Every day, walk the neighborhood, right? So ideally, what I'm telling you is that people will recognize it, but it has to be repeatable, right? So I wear this hat everywhere I go, plain states that I don't even do business in, whatever the matter is, that logo's everywhere you can find it. Okay. Um, all right, meet more people so more people can talk about you, right? So again, when we were talking about earlier and understanding that every email and every text message and every phone call and everything that you do to attract clients should lead to a face-to-face meeting. That face-to-face meeting should lead to them becoming a client. That client turns into a closing. That closing turns into 3 more clients, right? The more people you meet and the more good you do for them, the more they will talk about you. So the more people you meet, it's a contact sport. The more people you meet, the more business you will do. Period in the story. Double down on relationships. This is about building relationships with people. Get to know them, right? Get to know them. What's going on in their lives and how can you be helpful in their lives in general? All right. Create consistent content and always ask for third-party validation. This could be in the form of reviews, referrals, videos, social media placement, whatever the case may be. If you close a deal with somebody, you ask them for a review. Hey, would you mind reviewing me on Google, Zillow, whatever it is that you want them to do? Okay. And then they do that review. And then 2 weeks later, you go, hey, can I pass by the house and do a quick video with you so you could give me a video testimonial on, how exciting the purchase was? Give them a couple weeks to settle in and you do it at their house, right? Make it exciting, but always ask for that third party validation. And then when you finish recording the video, you say, hey, I'm going to go home and edit this on Canva, right? And I'm going to get like the subtitles in there and all that stuff. Can I send this to you and would you post it on your social media? Most people are going to say yes. Okay, cool. When you post it on your social media, would you mind tagging me so I can share it? I appreciate you. Right. So you're going to post it, they're going to post it, they're going to tag you, and then you're going to share it. Right. And so this is third party validation all over the place. You're just getting massive attention. All right. 3 things you need to work on: find the business, keep the business, do the work. That's all we've talked about today. Find the business, keep the business, do the work. The most important one, find the business, because if you can't find the business, you can't keep it and you can't do the work on it, right? So you have to find the business, find the business, keep the business, do the work. And remember that selling is not the transfer of property, but selling is the transfer of excitement and enthusiasm. Have you ever seen the look on somebody's face when they're signing to buy their house? That's excitement and enthusiasm. So what you're selling is the transfer of excitement and enthusiasm. The seller's excited to let go. The buyer's excited to receive. Okay, guys. Any questions for me before I bounce out of here? We finished right on time, 11:52 Eastern Standard Time. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'm going to take my flu with me and I'm out. All right, guys. Thank you, Sonia. Great stuff. I appreciate you guys being here. Kurt, thanks for letting me use you as a proxy today. Appreciate that. Rich, great information. Thanks, bro. Absolutely. Anything we can do to consistently build business with you guys. By the way, something I don't normally do, but we do have an academy. Feel free to join our academy. Hey, Mike, would you mind putting the link for the academy in there? It's freedomachieveracademy.com. It's $9 a month. It's literally cheaper to educate yourself with my community than it is to watch Netflix. Okay. So it's $9 a month. Okay. It's $9 a month to join our community. We have over 300 videos in there. It's super self-paced. You could read some stuff and not do the other stuff. We have downloadables, things of that stuff. Guy, yes, I left the school community. We actually shut it down. We built it all in GHL. It's absolutely beautiful. It looks exactly the same, but now it's in GHL. And the app is coming in January, February. We have to go through the motions of getting the app approved and stuff. But January, February, the app will come out, so everybody be able to download the app. But once you're a member, you'll be able to download the app pretty quickly. All right, links in there. So freedomachieveracademy.com. $9 a month to join. You can cancel whenever you want. Super easy to cancel. You just send us a message and say, go F yourself. I don't want to be here anymore. And we'll take that as a I love you. And so again, like 300 videos in there. And so what we're going to do over 2025 is we're going to commit to adding more videos in there. So by the end of 2025, we imagine that we'll probably have 450 plus videos in the system. These are not long form videos. The majority of them are short, bite size, under 5 minutes, direct to the education piece in a series. We have them set up in series. So everything from building a team to marketing to social media to everything you can imagine is in there for your consumption. All right. Much love to you guys. Have a great week. And by the way, since I won't see you till January, because we're not going to do this in 2 weeks, because that'll be the 26th of December. So we're not going to do the class that day. We'll see you January 9th. Have a wonderful holiday and Happy New Year, guys.